Welcome to the Necromancer and Oni Senshi's channel, and tonight we look at Picard Season 3, Episode 2. Good evening, Oni Senshi. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. A little tired, but especially after watching this episode, so much action. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought, they're definitely giving us a lot of color and motion and quite a bit of detail. So I enjoyed it. How are you going?
I actually did enjoy it too. Quite a bit of actual Star Trek in here. So without further ado, let's go ahead.
Okay. So this first photo is actually in the intro, and just something caught my eye in this intro that I just thought I wanted to share. What I always liked about movies in the old days was when you would find an Easter egg, because it was a lot more rare in the olden days than it is now. And what they've done is given us a nice Easter egg of having the bad guy's ship, which we discover in this episode is called the Shrike. It's right here, just to the left of the Titan, which is warping up through the frame. Just here in the blue smoke, you can see an outline of the Shrike. So I thought that was a nice addition to the intro. They don't call any special attention to it. You have to be quite eagle-eyed to spot the thing. Okay, so then we go to the cold open, and in the cold open, we are greeted with rock and roll music, as Bev's ship approaches a planet called Sarnia Prime, and this is 2 weeks before the last scenes that we see in the previous episode. Now, Jack Crusher communicates with, I believe it's the Fenris. What is it?
Some ranger, as I recall.
Yeah, the Fenris Rangers. So Fenris means, it's the mythical Norse wolf, right? And we know that 7 of 9 used to be a Fenris Ranger. So anyway, these Fenris Rangers rock up, and he introduces the ship. He identifies the ship as the Mariposa, but I was under the impression that it was called the Ilios. So it's a bit confusing, but we figure out why he introduces the ship as the Mariposa in the next scene.
Well, with the name painted on the front, who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe they didn't notice.
Maybe they don't notice because it's so dark now.
Well, fair comment. Maybe we're just getting old and we can't see as well as we used to, Sonny. Who knows?
Pretty cool with that ranger who's trying to intimidate us with his scars. Which you would have no reason to have at that time period.
That's true.
Anyway.
With thermal regenerators, not required. How do we explain Captain Pike then? You just found a huge plot hole in traditional Trek.
Well, I think the thing with Captain Pike is that it was a type of radiation for which there was no cure.
Okay. All right.
That was the thing about Pike, as I recall.
Okay. We'll let that one slide. Okay, so it turns out Jack Crusher is a bit of a grifter. He's an ethical revolutionary. He's arming both sides of a conflict, while curing civilians of an engineered pandemic. I wonder if this is a bit of modern social commentary for the conspiracy theorists among us.
Yeah, and while he was doing that, I was thinking to myself, there's no way. Why would Beverly allow this? There's no way she would allow this. Maybe some of the weapons won't work. Maybe none of the weapons will actually work. But
right,
who can tell with the lousy writing that's going on?
Yeah, there are continuity errors. That's for sure, and they do try to address it later in the episode, and we'll object to that, of course.
But like I said, I think that what happened in season 3 is that it was a continuation of season 1 and 2, written by the horrible writers they have with Stupid Hideout. And it got edited.
Yeah.
When season 1 and 2 did so poorly with actual Star Trek fans, it's probably been salvaged, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, buried out of its peat that it had been stuck in for 6 months, lost, found, questioned, queried. That's probably what happened to that script. At any rate, they do the swap, they do the trade, and of course, as the Ranger is leaving, he betrays Jack Crusher.
Go figure. Go figure. For a 30% cut of the take, as Jack Crusher said. Let the baddies kill each other with these weapons and I'll cure the civilians. Anyway, back to current day. So this is 2 weeks, and now we're back in what we think of as the present. And we get proper Star Trek music instead of rock and roll. So I guess that rock and roll in the previous scene was just to kind of reiterate the fact that Jack is kind of a rogue. Does his own thing, marches to the beat of his own drum. But here we get some really nice Star Trek music as they reset the scene with the antagonist, which we know of now as the Shrike, and with the Ilios. So the Titan is nowhere to be found at the moment, and the situation is grim. And Jack recaps that after the arms deal, that he has been pursued by Fenris Rangers, by Klingons, and then by 3 men in Federation uniforms that tried to use the Prime Directive to kill him, to bury him. Anyway, this kind of explains his reaction to Picard and Riker in episode 1, where we said, why would he be shooting humans? Well, I guess now we know. It was a nice way for them to tie up that kind of plot hole. So whether it was on purpose, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
That they would use the Prime Directive to actually kill somebody, but
yeah. So to me, what that says is that they were imposters. Just because you're wearing a Federation uniform, and the fact that he didn't say Federation officers, he said humans wearing Federation uniforms or something along those lines, or men wearing Federation uniforms. Yeah. Okay, continue.
Certainly.
So the Titan is off on its own, off there on the right, or off on away from the nebula, and detects the third ship. So, Seven notices this, and they detect the Shrike, but since they aren't in Federation space, Captain Shaw says, live and let live. It's not our problem. It's not our duty. Our duty is the preservation of our crew, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to do anything about it. Picard and Riker left of their own accord. It's not my job to go save them when they're not in Federation space.
So apparently he can have his mind changed by being talked into.
Well, not yet. We're not there yet. So he dismisses 7 of 9 from the bridge, essentially. And he says, okay, you're dismissed. Leave. I don't want to hear anything else from you. And kicks her off the bridge. Okay, so the next scene, we're back to the Ilios. Will says to Picard, Beverly's son, there's just something familiar about him. And don't forget that Jack Crusher spoke in French. I don't know if you noticed that, but when he was making the weapons deal with the Fenris Rangers, he spoke in French. He said just like "c'est la vie" or something like that.
Absolutely, because speaking French is inheritable.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. So, by the way, we're also selling mosquito repellent, and it's basically bazookas. If you haven't caught on, this is far from subtle. They are saying that Jack is Picard's son. That's what they're trying to say and get at. And so Picard says, well, in his very tired old man voice, don't jump to conclusions. Where's my prune juice? Anyway, yeah, look, it's coming for all of us. We all walk the same road. We're all going to get old, but just put some energy into your performance, please, Patrick. Oh, gosh, it's just a bit. It's kind of sad to see him, acting
that frail. He's really gotten frail.
Yeah, he sure has. Any comment on this scene, or you just agree with everything I said?
No, that's well, honestly, yep, that's hitting you over the head with exactly what we're all thinking. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyhow, while this chat's going on,
once upon a time, Star Trek was written for cerebral fans.
Yes, who clued into subtlety.
Yeah.
Now they're being very blatant and obvious. They're being like that Ardra episode. Remember the Ardra episode? No, I find you obvious and transparent
and crude.
And crude
and transparent. Yeah,
that's where we are.
That's where we are now.
Yeah. So while this is going on, the antagonists attack. Oh, they attack the Ilios. You can see 1, 2, 3, something like photon torpedoes there coming out of the Shrike. And we think that, they're going to just destroy the ship completely because, as I understood it, they were limping as it was.
Yeah, 3 torps ought to be enough to blow that thing sky high.
That's right. But I guess they used it specifically to attack the shuttle. So they destroy Picard and Riker's shuttle, which was docked on the Helios, but the Helios seems none the worse for wear. So again, a bit of bazooka to try to kill a fly or a mosquito, a bit of overkill here. Not very surgical, which is what how they describe the person in command of the Shrike later. So yeah, a bit of overkill, bit of sensationalism, kind of like our news used to be. Anyhow,
as Johnny Storm had once said, it's like using a sledgehammer to swat a mosquito.
Yep. Okay, so then we get a Raffi scene. Whoa, I was so happy with it. We got a Raffi scene.
More Raffi, who cares?
More Raffi, who cares? On her ship. They kind of recap the attack on the recruitment center, and we see Operation Daybreak appear in the script of her computer. And so that's something that may come around later, or maybe that's the only reference we're going to have of it.
And she winds up arguing with her handler and proving once again that she's insubordinate.
Yep.
Basically, not the kind of person you would want going undercover for you.
And investigating, exactly. You want somebody
Someone
who does
who
what you tell them.
Orders. Someone who cannot do, exactly as you tell them to do. Can't use you.
That's right, because she's ordered to cease and desist. She's told that this is it. The investigation is over. We're saying that this was Lurak Taluko who did this. He's responsible for the attack on the recruitment center, which is the center with the red lady in front of it, in case you're not with us on this one. And so then, there's so much exposition to talk about where we actually are. There's no actual investigation. All there is, oh no, we have this information. Don't talk about how we came across this information, where this information came from, what files we're accessing to gain this information. It's just exposition, which is, again, they're telling us what's going on rather than showing us what's going on. This is supposed to be a television show, not a television tell.
Yeah, which is much more boring.
That's right. It's
so boring. What's happening.
Have her go investigate and discover a link to Lurak, and then show the Lurak's link to Sneed. That would be a much more exciting way of doing television. You could throw in an extra episode.
She could have done it in the amount of time that it takes to get through all the exposition of Fifi's and Alex Tersman's soap opera-ness.
Possibly all the time that she's saying, well, I'm going to investigate anyway, you're not going to stop me, that could actually be actual investigation time. Right. Again, we go back to James Bond. When he gets ordered to stop investigating, he just keeps investigating. Doesn't have an argument about it. He just does it. Right. Where does she get this information? And I can see how they've kind of written themselves into a corner by getting rid of all the supporting characters that were on that ship. She could have been having this conversation with other people that were on her side, but instead she's using a computerized voice. It's just, it's just like it's a big soliloquy. It's like a big.
So what happened to the captain of that ship? I thought he loved that ship.
That's right. It's just I don't find it too cool. So then we jump back to the Titan, and in this scene, I love this scene because you see a little bit of humanity coming. Sorry, pretty good battle sequence
here.
Coming up.
I'd have to say.
So we, in this scene, we see Seven come back to Shaw after she's been dismissed from the bridge, and he says, geez, I just really don't want to deal with you anymore. She comes back and tries to convince him to go after Riker and Picard. And she says, think of what it would do for you, to be the captain that rescues two legends. So she's trying to convince him to go ahead and take action to help Picard and Riker.
Which, now, his character is established, he should not do.
No.
It's not in character with his play it safe attitude of everything in order. Everything is a cog in a clock.
Yeah.
Something that an ex-Borg should get along with without a problem.
Yep. If she's still like that.
Well,
there was a lot of character development in Voyager. And there was a significant amount of insubordination in Voyager as well, especially between her and Janeway. So, when she became an individual, 7 of 9, if things didn't go her way, she in no uncertain terms let everybody know that she wasn't happy with it. So, I would say that kind of is in keeping with her character. What isn't in keeping with her character was subtly trying to convince a commanding officer to do something. That's not really how Seven works. Yeah, she's more manipulative, or at least was more manipulative during Voyager, in a very interesting and intriguing way. Okay, so what we find out is that the people from the Shrike are after Jack and that they want him alive. And once they realize, they try to beam him out, and it doesn't work because Picard puts up transport inhibitors. So they send some bad guys aboard the ship to go take Jack and capture him. And Riker uses a plasma grenade. To kill these two guys. So they establish that, well, they can't get to us physically. They're not going to try to send any more, it's not going to be a war of attrition, any more bad guys to physically come get them. So what do? They use a tractor beam. And Jack says, that's it. I want to give up. You might as well give ourselves up. We're in space and we're cornered. There's nothing we can do.
I thought this was pretty creative. It wasn't bad at all. A ship that's got very low power left, not enough to handle the structural integrity, is being slowly torn apart by a tractor beam.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. As a game master, I'd allow it.
Okay. So then we are treated to a little bit of visual popcorn, and the Titan comes to the rescue. It inserts itself between the Shrike and the Ilios and breaks the tractor beam.
Well, the tractor beam should then be operating on the Titan.
Right.
Or trying to through its deflector screen.
Well, I guess Seven's speech to Captain Shaw worked, eh?
Apparently.
Yep.
She got him to change character entirely.
And so before anything nasty can happen, before the Shrike can attack the Titan, they rescue Picard, Riker, Jack Crusher, and we assume Beverly Crusher as well. And it turns out later on in the episode, they say yes, she was beamed directly to sickbay. So they are now back aboard the Titan, and they have Jack Crusher in tow.
And the writers did not pay attention to old Trek at all, because when you come through the transporter with a loaded weapon, the transporter can make your weapon inert.
Yes.
So security would not need to be pointing guns at you. Security would just need to be there in the room. That's all. But this is more dramatic.
Yes, it is more dramatic and well caught, by the way. I didn't catch that. So well done.
Good reason for Picard and Riker to have their weapons up when being beamed aboard the Titan. Sure. You're being rescued, but let's keep our weapons up. Really.
Yeah.
Bad writing.
Okay. So finally, the Shrike, the captain of the Shrike, opens hailing frequencies to the Titan.
I was very pleased to see that it is Amanda Plummer.
Oh, isn't she excellent?
Daughter of Christopher Plummer, General Chang of Star Trek VI.
Yeah.
So nice little continuity there, and she is a great actress. She has the chops to pull this off. She's a very irreverent type of bounty hunter. Maybe that's to show her informality, let's say, her commonness. And I thought she did a great job. She pulled it off quite well. Surprisingly good villain. And I very much liked her crack about in the synthetic flesh.
So did I. I was going to mention that.
We give cracks often enough about it. Very nice to see Amanda Plummer's doing it too.
That's right, in the synthetic flesh. She also has the psychological profile of Captain Shaw.
The fact that she knows about Picard simply shows that she's done her research, as a very good captain should.
Yeah. Her name is Captain Vadic. So I don't know that they mention her name again,
I think
maybe once or twice in the episode.
Time. Yeah.
And we discover that her ship is armed to the teeth. She demands Jack, and basically, as a display of her ship's power, they use the tractor beam to throw the Ilios at the Titan. Go on then.
Well, I don't know. In Klingon Academy, when you turn, the ship comes through slowly. So this is an ability that ships have not shown yet. It's a new ability. I'm not crazy for new abilities, because when you build upon new abilities, you have to keep doing a new ability and a new ability and a new ability and a new ability. And then you're basically left with a totally invincible Superman in 1970, because abilities kept getting added to him that he could do to make an amazing new story. So that's what's going to wind up happening with Trek if you keep doing this, which they've kind of done. Oh, a photon torpedo is supplanted by a quantum torpedo. Well, excuse me, you can't get a bigger bang for your buck than matter and antimatter. What are some of the weapons they notice on this Shrike? Plasma torpedoes. Okay, not as terrible,
good. Yeah, but I mean, a plasma
is stronger than a plasma torpedo. By definition, it has to be.
Yeah.
The biggest bang for your buck is when you
Antimatter.
join matter and antimatter. E equals mc squared. That's the amount of energy released. But then they have antimatter torpedoes. That is what a photon torpedo is.
That's right.
So, writers, please get your tech in line. Know what you're talking about, because when you don't know what you're talking about, it doesn't reflect well on you.
Yeah. Theoretical tech, I mean, that's something Star Trek used to do, right?
Is this bad? No, I'm not going to complain about it, really. I'm going to say, questionable. Highly questionable. Would I allow that in ST-STCS? No. No, I wouldn't allow it in ST-STCS. You have to have the ship in tractor in front of you, and then you can use it to ram another ship, sure. But you'd have basically helmsman against helmsman in that situation. But that's besides the point. Yeah. There was a very good explanation about it from Ensign LaForge. I loved how she said, "My father taught me that anything with physics, any weapon that operates on physics or any defense that operates on physics can be supplanted by physics yet again."
Yeah.
It's a very good principle.
Yeah. And in any event, when they're throwing the Helios at the Titan, you see Captain Shaw order, shields up, evasive action. Well, you're at red alert, so your shields are already up. And your evasive action call, in my opinion, happened a little late. Was it Deckard who said not 1 in a million men? Captain Deckard, not 1 in a million men can command a starship?
No, that was
who was it?
I believe that was in Court Martial. And
okay.
The Commodore of the station was telling Kirk not 1 in a million men could do what we've done.
Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? Shaw is definitely not 1 in a million men. He's not quick enough off the draw. I understand that, we have to have the display of power, but you're not doing much to convince me that this Captain Shaw is anything special.
Yeah, I guess we should amend that to saying not 1 in 1,000 writers can write good Star Trek.
Sure, you can get it right.
Yeah.
All right. So Captain Shaw later then, in I guess this is the conference room, arrests Jack Crusher, who has many criminal aliases, and he relieves 7 of 9 of duty in the same conversation. So Picard, at the end of this, asks to speak with Jack face to find out what's behind all this. He thinks there must be something else behind all this, and that's the reason why they want him alive. It can't just be that he's a criminal, right? So Shaw grants half the time that they've been allotted by the Shrike. So Commander Vadic has given them an hour. So he says, you can have half an hour to go talk to this kid. So in the conversation, he doesn't really give much up. Jack doesn't really give much up. But I did notice that...
Hilarious when he asks him who his father is, when we all know who his father is.
Yeah.
Dragging it out like this is merely tedious.
Oh, gosh.
Bad script choice.
Every time they come back to it, right? Oh, gosh. It's like with that Rings of Power show. And we knew who Sauron was the minute he met this wannabe, this not really Galadriel. We knew who he was the whole time, but they wait 7 or 8 episodes to do the reveal. Same thing here. At least they did the reveal earlier.
Every episode?
It's just ridiculous.
Did they give you hints all the time?
Well, you're implying that I watched it, but it was such crap. I didn't watch it.
I didn't even look at it. All.
Yeah. I mean, the wife and kids started watching it, and as soon as I got a feel for the tone of the show, I was at the door.
Yeah.
Anyhow. But what I found here was that, he asks Jack where he learned all this stuff. Picard asked Jack Crusher, where'd you learn all this stuff? And he says Beverly taught him how to be a criminal, how to be a grifter, and that Picard doesn't know her. And he then says, is there anybody you know who is still the same person that you knew? It's been 20 years. Once an adult matures, I guess people can change with circumstances. But I still don't see that this is the type of life that Beverly would choose to live.
Yeah.
What makes a person do a complete 180 other than syphilis? Right? Doesn't syphilis attack your brain and change you
pretty much
fundamentally?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Gonna call bullshit on that one. It sounds a lot more like the Alex Tersman bullcrap of, soap opera drama.
Yeah.
Again.
Just doesn't seem to be.
It shines through in too many places. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It needs to be thrown out of there. Please give all of Star Trek to Seth MacFarlane. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, again, if we go to the last episode of the Orville, or second to last episode, there's that scene in the bar where they talk to this character who comes from a world that's much like our world currently is, where it's a capitalist system. And he says, I don't agree with socialism by any stretch of the imagination, but to be a socialist and have it work, you have to have a Star Trek-like society where it's not about making money. It's not about amassing wealth. It's about making yourself the best possible human you can be.
Which is what they implied many times in previous series, that capitalism and money was no longer planet Earth.
That's right.
And then they turn around and you have Deep Space Nine, where there is some kind of money going on. Okay, I could understand that if you have to interact with the Ferengi and you have to interact with maybe the Cardassians. Fine, maybe you do need some form of money in that regard. But if you're a Federation citizen, you don't work for money because it's a post-scarcity society.
That's right.
You
work for reputation.
Exactly. Your replicators can create anything you need. The energy crisis is solved. Matter and antimatter. Boom.
Yeah.
So this stuff about, medicine is expensive. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on it. No, it's not. Medicine should be free from the replicators of the Federation.
Yeah.
So, nope. A lot of severe problems with this.
Yeah, they're missing it. And so that's my argument. I think one of the comments we received was that, Beverly killed people in season 1 of TNG. Well, that's okay. That may be the case. But what we're saying is that's not in keeping with her character nor the philosophy of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, so next in the episode is back to a Raffi scene. Now, this is a bit more of an interesting Raffi scene.
Finally, Raffi is actually interesting.
Yeah, well, I don't think she was interesting. Let's continue and let's describe why that's the case. So she meets with this Sneed character who's supposed to be a Ferengi warlord. They call him a Ferengi warlord. And asks for info on the stolen portal technology. And she claims to work for Toluco and is trying to find out who's framing Toluco. So Sneed makes her take drugs to prove her sincerity. And then he calls her bluff. Yeah, go on.
That she's not Starfleet, right?
Yeah. He wants to prove that she's not Section 31.
Yes, he assumes that a Starfleet operative would not take the drugs. But I think that a Section 31 operative would, because Section 31, they're the bad, dirty men in black and women in black.
Yeah.
They'll do what needs to be done.
Whatever it takes. So he makes her take drugs to prove her sincerity. And don't forget, she's a junkie. And it doesn't matter how long she's been clean. So apparently when you're a junkie, if you go clean, but then you go back to taking drugs, it's like you had been taking drugs the whole time, your addiction levels. So she's essentially an addict again now.
Well, that explains caffeine's action on me a lot.
That's right. Doesn't take long to get back into it. So Sneed knows she's lying. And how does he know she's lying? Because he's got Toluco's head behind him. So he's killed Toluco, and he knows for a fact that she doesn't work for Toluco.
I mean,
so he's
very
used
dark.
this to-
Not what I call Star Trek, but not bad. Not a bad scene.
Well, he's a Ferengi, so
Yeah.
he's not Federation. So
Okay.
I'll let this one slide.
Not a bad scene.
Anyway, so he's going to kill her. He's set her up just to weaken her. He set a trap,
Well,
and
he
she's
set
walked
her
right
up to
into
weaken her. He set her up to find out what she knows, to try and determine who she is. So there is a point to his questioning. He's not just, whining and dining the secret agent before killing them.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Hmm.
Right? This exposition is well done. It was handled right. That's how you do exposition. So that's
Whoever
why I
wrote
like the
this
scene. Yeah.
Keep them writing.
There is an intelligent reason for this to happen, and that's a good way for it to happen, where the agent is basically exposed. She's trying her best, and she's failing.
Now, in the background, as he's saying, "Oh, well, we're going to kill you." We start seeing somebody scuffling and attacking, and then dispatching Toluco's security. Not Toluco, sorry, Sneed security. And he is doing it. These are clean kills. These are like dismemberments, decapitations. Mortal wounds with one slice from a bladed weapon. These are not blunt force, rude. This is surgical, these attacks. And oh boy, wasn't I pleased to find out
that
he
was
is not a pacifist after all. First off, that it wasn't who?
Who did you call him?
Romulan Legolas. It wasn't Romulan Legolas.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It was
none other than Worf. Son of Mode. I was very happy to see that, even though they had pulled the stunt of the hero arriving just in time, which is pretty weak writing to have the hero arrive just in time for drama. It would have been better had they shown someone at the bar in a hood who you cannot see, just glancing slightly over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Or nearby, if not in that bar. Very close. And maybe while she was talking and being threatened to be killed, you hear a bit of a scuffle going on outside. That would be a good way to do it. Having him suddenly jump in just when he's needed. It's kind of like, oh, we don't know the guy is there on stage until we turn and we see him. Surprise! Nobody suspected he was there. And now he's here. It's weak writing.
The term for that is Deus ex machina.
I think that would, that's probably about right. In the hero arriving just in time in this case. Yeah.
How convenient.
A little bit too convenient. So it could have been done better, but was it good to see Worf? Yeah,
this made me smile. Yeah. This didn't make me cringe. Throwing the ship at the other ship made me cringe. This one made me smile. It's kind of like the same leeway I give him for anything to do with Jerry Ryan. You know what? You're going to bring Worf back, and you're not going to say that he's a freaking pacifist. I'm with you. I'll come along for that ride. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. So somehow, Jack Crusher, in the meantime, is back aboard the Titan in the brig, escapes the brig, because I guess in the 24th or 25th century, wherever we are, we don't search our prisoners anymore. So using technology he's got on a device in his sleeve, he escapes the brig, and Seven catches up with him in the transporter. And I really liked how as soon as the doors opened, to the transporter room, Seven raises her pistol, and she raises it a good half second before Jack Crusher does, showing that, she is on the ball. She's got some implants there. Not those implants, the other ones. Enhancements, let's say. Oh, no, not those enhancements, the other ones.
Borgifications.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So she catches them in the transporter, and they have, a bit of back and forth. And then, we're back on the bridge, and Shaw decides he's going to unlock the transporters and allow Jack to give himself up, Because why is he going to sacrifice his crew of over 500 people to the bounty hunter when, Jack, he's done the wrong thing. He's willing to give himself up. Why not let him give himself up?
And there was a good point. He would be giving himself up to criminals, not to a court of justice.
Yeah. So that was Picard's point. But Picard kind of goes along with it anyway. And he says, okay, fine. You want to unlock the transporter? Go ahead, unlock the transporter. If he wants to give himself up, let him do it. He is a criminal. He's done bad things. Yeah, fine. Give him up. Well, at this point, Riker and Beverly enter the bridge. And all it takes is a look. All she does is looks at Picard. They don't say anything. There's no dialogue at all. And Picard decides he's going to summon his inner captain or admiral, and he orders the bridge to belay Shaw's previous orders and issues a command to lock down all shuttles and transporters. He acknowledges that Jack is his son verbally. And then Shaw joins Picard in a command to action and decides to attack the Shrike. They attack the Shrike, and then they head out on towards the nebula behind. And that's the plan, is they're going to go and hide in the nebula, and the Shrike is going to pursue. That's where we end the episode. We've already got
very nice. They head off into the nebula. They should have dropped a couple of mines behind them if they could, so that when the Shrike comes in to chase them, bam! Run right into some mines.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done. That's what I would have done.
Anyhow, so all in all, I thought that was a pretty good episode. There were a few cringe moments, but I'd still give it, I'd say 7.5 out of 10. So better than last week's episode.
Absolutely. I would have to say 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yep. Good. Certainly. Yeah, because some very good things. Still some drawbacks, but yes.
Yep.
Bit above average.
Looking up. 75% is not bad. 80%, that's not bad.
I would not give it more than 8. No way.
Okay.
No, it doesn't deserve more than 8 because of the failings that we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So that's my rating. Please comment below, like and subscribe. Let us know what you think if you agree. If you found some points that we didn't cover, by all means expand on them in the comments section. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video, especially if you stuck with us this far. Whether you liked it or didn't, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to our opinions on what seems to be looking up for Star Trek.
Let's hope it continues.
Okay.
And with that, I will say live long and prosper.
Thank you very much. We will catch you next week, where we will be reviewing episode 3. We're gonna hang on with this one. We're gonna go for the ride, the whole ride, regardless of how bad it gets. So yeah, please join us next week. You can hit the bell for notifications as well if you'd like, once you subscribe, and you'll find it when that video drops. We'll try to do it within about a day. Hopefully our schedules allow for that type of thing. So with that, thank you very much, Necromancer. Great episode, in my opinion. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
And we will see you again.
Yeah, catch you next time. All the best.